For Board of Aldermen, regular meeting Monday, September 20th, 2021 at 6:30. I have 6:30 at this time. Roll call, please.
Alderman Motley? Here. Alderman Hudson?
Here.
Alderman Wilkins?
Present.
Alderman Stevens? Yes. Alderman Rogers? Alderman Magley?
Yep.
If everybody stand. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That moves us to item 4, special presentations. A is Myrma, presentation by Jeff Arp. We had some funding that we applied for, he's not here. So we will move him down at this point. If and when he arrives, we'll find a spot for him that's acceptable. And so we'll move on down to presentation of our fiscal year 2020-2021 audit results.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Amanda Schultz, an audit partner with Williams Keepers in Columbia. We issued our audit reports for the city's fiscal year that ended March 31st, 2021 last month, so I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight to present the highlights of those reports. So we are just going to go over the summary report. I think you have 2 copies of that at this point. The first report that we issued as a result of our audit is the audited financial statements. We issued an unmodified or a clean opinion on those financial statements. In our opinion, those financial statements are presented fairly in all material respects in accordance with the modified cash basis of accounting. That is the best opinion that you can get, and it means that the users of the city's financial statements can rely on them. Management is responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of those financial statements. We prepared them again this year. It is a common practice for us as independent auditors to do so, but they were reviewed and approved by management before they were issued. We used our judgment in determining how to audit the city. We performed a risk assessment process again this year so that we focused our attention only on areas where the financial statements could be misstated. Again, I know they say this every year, but that means we don't audit every account balance or every transaction. We do enough work though in order to be able to get that unmodified or clean opinion on the financial statements. The last bullet point on the first page of the summary report is just a reminder that because the city's financial statements are prepared using that modified cash basis of accounting, the basic financial statements only include fund financial statements, which can be found on pages 3 through 8 in the audited financial statements, and notes to those financial statements, which are found on pages 9 through 28. For the sake of time, I think I'll skip over all of page 2 and part of actually all of page 3 as well. There is just some summarized financial statement information in here. We're just showing the highlights from the governmental funds financial statements, which are on pages 3 and 4. And then on page 3 of the summary report, some highlights from the proprietary funds or the city's utility funds financial statements, where there's detail in the audited financial statements on pages 5 through 6. So skipping ahead to page 4, we also issue an auditor's communication letter as a result of our audit. This letter consists of comments that we are required by our professional standards to communicate to the governing board of an organization for the city, that is this Board of Aldermen. Just a few highlights. We didn't note any transactions that we considered unusual and significant, and there were no changes in accounting policies during the year. So this means that nothing was required to be accounted for or reported differently in the fiscal year 21 financial statements as compared to prior years. We evaluated any estimates that might affect the financial statements and found them reasonable in relation to those financial statements. We also evaluated the disclosures and made sure all of the required disclosures to support the financial statements were included. We didn't encounter any difficulties in dealing with management and performing our audit, and we did not have any disagreements with management on accounting or auditing issues. So all good things to report in that letter. Last but not least is our management letter. It basically states that although the scope of our audit engagement was not directed towards the opinion on the adequacy of internal control, a financial statement audit, the purpose is to provide an opinion on the financial statements, not internal control. We did still consider internal control as a basis for designing some of our audit procedures. Based on the limited procedures we performed on internal control, the letter states that we did not identify any material weaknesses. We do have a few continuing recommendations that we've identified as significant deficiencies, again this year. They're related to bank reconciliations, preparation of the financial statements, and network access. We also made other recommendations to help strengthen internal control and improve operating efficiency for the city to consider, and those include controls over cash disbursements, interfund balances, and some fund accounting issues with the city's accounting system, which is Summit. So those are all continuing from prior years as well, so just some best practice recommendations to consider there. Any questions, comments about this summary report or any of the individual audit reports, if you had a chance to review them?
So we got reoccurring themes, the good and the bad. So
Yeah.
we've got reoccurring themes. So, any suggestions on how we address those?
I think of the recommendations that we have, although there are a few significant deficiencies that continue to recur, the other recommendations are just as important, even if we don't deem them to be material weaknesses or significant deficiencies. In looking at the ones that have recurred, I think the most important one to focus on implementing, which I think Heather and Sarah have plans to do during fiscal year 22, is the one related to bank reconciliations. With cash being, the most significant or the only asset on your balance sheet at this point, it's really crucial that the monthly bank reconciliation process gets implemented. It's just a good check and balance to do on a monthly basis and have it not only prepared but reviewed by someone independent of the receiving and dispersing process.
I did talk to Rhonda through the auditing process this time around, and she is going to work very hard to keep those up monthly.
We pay for her to do that, right?
Yes.
Okay. So we need to manage towards that as we go on a monthly basis.
Yeah, it has historically been a separate function independent of city management, so I just think it needs to get up and running again. But you all should be involved, obviously, in providing oversight and reviewing those reconciliations that are performed.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
No problem. Anything else?
Good question. Sounds like this year was much easier than last year, because last year was.
Yes,
quite-
yes, last year was the conversion from the accrual basis of accounting to this nice cash basis that I think is much more understandable, certainly for the users of the city's financial statements, so, and much more consistent with what you all are used to seeing on a monthly basis at these meetings, so.
I'll tell your folks that we appreciate all you do to help us work with business partners, so thank you.
Yeah, thank you, we appreciate the opportunity to do the audit and be here tonight to present the results.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As I said, we were waiting on Myrma. Jeff Arp, he's not here. We'll plug him in later in the agenda, if that'd be okay with everybody at this point, if and when he arrives. That'll move us on down to 5 comments from citizens. I didn't have anything in writing. Did you, Heather? Prepared to you. So at this time, I would open comments from citizens. Anybody that have?
Just a couple, you all know me, always gotta have a question. I noticed that you've finally figured something out on the sale of the old church. Will that money eventually just go to the city?
No, it's not ours.
We don't know.
Oh, okay, well, I didn't know if you found anybody that it actually belonged to or not, I hadn't heard anything.
Yeah, it would have belonged to the home church, whatever they were affiliated with.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's not our property.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm just asking.
Mhm.
And what did you find out, if anything, on the garbage as far as recontracting, or what are you gonna do on that?
Mike and I have a meeting with Dane Love, this Wednesday, and we're going to give him our 2 years notice.
Okay. Because I think that I saw in the notes where Mike said something about it would take that long to get a garbage truck. Well, and it looks like, I mean, I didn't go back and compare, but it looks like their rates are just increasingly going up.
They are, but our contract said that they would,
Oh, okay.
and we have not adjusted. So I would anticipate looking at an adjustment
Oh,
coming
yeah.
in November.
Okay.
Yeah. They kind of followed what they had outlined in.
I guess I didn't, well, I mean,
In
it
the
just looks
contract
like
for-
over the last couple of months though, or over the last 6 months, it had really gone up, not just on a yearly basis, so, but whatever. and there was something else that I don't remember now, so thank you.
Thank you.
How you doing, Jay?
Have any other comments from citizens? With none being said, we'll close comments from the citizens and move to the consent agenda. Everybody has A, B, C, D. E, F, and G, I'll just look at C though. Yeah, E, F, and G is what we would be looking at. I would take as a motion to approve all in one, or we could separate anything anybody brings up.
I make a motion we approve the consent agenda as published.
Second.
I have a first and a second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. That moves us to item 7. Accounts payable over $1,250. There's the packet. If after review there's no questions, I would entertain a motion to approve.
Move that we approve the accounts payable over $1,250 for a grand total of $775,850.85.
Second?
Have a first and a second to approve accounts payable over $1,250 tonight. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Accounts payable passes. Okay, that moves us down to the action agenda, finance and delinquent tax report. Heather, anything?
Actually, this is Tara's
Excuse me.
prepared this information for you.
So, this was prepared back in, I believe, April. So, some of these could have been paid between then and now. We did have this ready for you a month or 2 ago, but it just didn't get on the agenda.
Is it approval just approving the reports?
Yeah, these are all sent over from the county on what they collected for us this past year.
Make a motion we approve the delinquent tax report.
Second?
I have a first and a second to approve the delinquent tax report. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes. This moves us to B, report on county tax abatements.
And again, those are sent over from the county.
Make a motion we approve the report on county tax abatements.
Second.
Second. Christine. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. All right, that moves us to 9, legal. Approve the preliminary plat for the North Point subdivision. This was worked through planning and zoning and presented to us at this point. I got answered the other night very well. Don't really have anything hanging out there of concern for the planning and zoning to make a recommendation to us. There are 2 or 3 things that have to be cleaned up. The one thing of note, I will say, that came up was we ended up going to a 32-foot wide street because we only had a 50-foot easement on our part of it to get the road to the subdivision. And they had asked for consideration of a 32-foot wide road to help with running the road further down. So we cooperatively are looking to do that with them. It's I think it's a slippery slope when you start to make concessions, right? And this was a pre-existing situation with the property being developed and us running the road to it. That's why we felt comfortable in doing what we did in that. But that would be the one thing that I would say we talked about that was of concern. But
Essentially extending the existing road that is 32 feet versus requiring the 50.
the 38. You gotta have 60 foot.
Right now, the road out there is probably about, what, 20 foot wide?
Yeah, it's not much of a
And
road, but
so we, as the city, will need to improve Hickman Street from Highway 22 up to Fairgrounds Road. And we only have 50 feet of right-of-way there existing. You really should have 60 feet of right-of-way. But if you look at what's on either side of it, it would be very difficult for us to get 60 feet of right-of-way. And so we made, planning and zoning made the concession to allow the entire street to be 32 foot wide of curb and gutter instead of 38 foot wide. On both sides, so for us and for the new development.
the same, and for me, from where I sit and where we sit, in the future, whether it's me or anybody else 20 years from now, this was pre-existing and is a situation that we were limited to ourselves as a city. So it would be easy to reflect on that if that same situation arose to grant the same kind of consideration. Otherwise, we'd expect it to be 38 feet like we typically do moving forward.
I move that bill number 2420 be given its first read by title only.
Second.
I have a first and second for the first reading. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Go ahead.
A resolution approving the report of the Centralia Planning and Zoning Commission concerning the preliminary plat of the proposed North Point subdivision and approving the preliminary plat of the proposed North Point subdivision.
Move that bill number 2420 be given its second read by title
It's a
only.
resolution.
Oh, it's a resolution. Sorry. I move that bill number 2420 be adopted by roll call vote.
Second.
First,
Wow, you guys.
first thing for roll call vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes. Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Motley? Yes. Alderman Hudson?
4.
Alderman Wilkins?
4.
Alderman Stevens?
Yes.
Alderman Magley?
Yeah.
So, passes. Bill number 2420 passes. Resolution number,
R-21-10.
okay. That moves us to B under legal, revising the Centralia Pandemic Illness Policy and Plan. This was one that we talked about previously. And I think everybody's aware of what that came out to be. We kind of settled on that. So I would entertain a motion for first reading.
Move that bill number 2421 be given its first and only reading by title only.
Second.
I have a first and second. Begrudgingly, I will note. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay.
Just the change that I made there, and just make sure that there's noted that I can still read it, because it's not, it's in the title, it's not in the body.
Okay, so the title should read, a resolution establishing a pandemic illness leave policy. That's the only place it did not change, flu or influenza was the title of the resolution.
And it does not otherwise change the body of the resolution, it just changes the title. So legal counsel advises that you guys can proceed with that change if you would like to.
So a resolution establishing a pandemic illness leave policy.
Move that bill number 2421 be adopted by roll call vote.
Second.
Have a first and second for roll call vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Bill number 2421 passes. Resolution number, please. Oh, I'm sorry. Please do the roll call vote. Yeah.
Alderman Motley?
Yes.
Alderman Hudson?
Yes.
Alderman Wilkins?
4.
Alderman Stevens?
Yes.
Alderman Magley?
No.
Now, 2421 passes. Resolution number.
R-21-11.
Moves us to C, proposed changes to chapter 22 personnel. Any discussion, questions?
I did try to send out a memo with the revisions prior to the meeting. The only change from the committee meeting is that I took out the provision about the retirement, felt like it needed some more discussion, and there's some more suggestions about that. So that's the only thing. Everything else is just model policies that Mariah provided, so that we're adopting those.
I move that bill number 2422 be given its first of 2 readings by title only.
Second.
Got it.
Get catty here. I have a first and a second for the first reading of 2422. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Yeah, it passes. First reading, please.
An ordinance amending chapter 22 personnel of the Centralia City Code concerning employees.
Move that bill number 2422 be given its second read by title only.
Second.
I have a first and second for second reading of 2422. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
An ordinance amending chapter 22 personnel of the Centralia City Code concerning employees.
Move that bill number 2422 be adopted by roll call vote.
Second.
I have a first and second for a roll call vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes. Roll call vote, please, Sarah.
Alderman Motley? Yes. Alderman Hudson?
Yes.
Alderman Wilkins?
4.
Alderman Stevens?
Yes.
Alderman Magley?
Yep.
It passes. Resolution number, ordinance number.
3104.
Got it, thank you. That moves us to D, fixed compensation for certain city employees. That would be bill number 2423.
Any discussion about that, or?
It was sent out, everybody was sent out
I think it's a great idea to recognize someone who's stepped up.
Absolutely.
It's a minimal expense for a couple extra months for just that differential, but it recognizes the hard work. I think it's a great way to reward somebody.
I absolutely agree. I
Yeah.
think it's good. We find somebody young, ambitious, wants to move to another part, does a great job being there. We'll reward that behavior, so absolutely, I agree. Okay,
I move that bill number 2423 be given its first reading by title only.
Second.
have a first and second for the first reading of bill number 2423. All in favor? All opposed? Passes. First reading, please.
An ordinance to fix the compensation of certain employees of the city of Centralia, Missouri.
Move that bill number 2423 be given its second reading by title only.
Second.
I have a first and second for 2422 for the second reading. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Second reading, please.
An ordinance to fix the compensation of certain employees of the city of Centralia, Missouri.
Move that bill number 2423 be adopted by roll call vote.
Second.
I have a first and second for roll call vote for bill number 2423. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? It passes. Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Motley? Yes. Alderman Hudson?
Yes.
Alderman Wilkins?
4.
Alderman Stevens?
Yes.
Alderman Magley?
Yep.
Bill number 2423 passes. Ordinance number,
3105.
okay. That moves us down to new business, 10. Mayor. Huh?
Real quick for you, Jeff Hart did too, he couldn't make it, but here's his representative.
Okay, we'll get to you here in a moment.
That's fine.
As Mayor Rice, we're rolling, and I had a 22-minute deal tonight.
No pressure, no
So
pressure.
instead of being 22, I expect it to be probably 23 and a half, so we're good. So anyway, no pressure. I know, I want to run over. Anyway, that moves us, Tim, we will get to you, as Mayor Rice, okay? Thanks for coming. That moves us to, I'd like to recommend Suzanne Long to fill Jeffrey Birch's unexpired term ending in July 2023 of the library board. I think a bio was sent out to everyone. You should receive that. So I'll entertain a motion to accept that.
Make a motion, we approve the mayor's appointment of Susan Long to the library board.
Second?
Have a first and second to approve. Susan Long, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Susan Long is now on the library board. That moves us down to city administrators, number 11, monthly report.
My report's in the packet. Just really a lot of coordination and communication with other departments. I did apply for our ARPA funding and received an email back that we needed to provide 19 and 20, fiscal year 20 financial budget instead of the 2021. So switch that out and send all that in, and so we should know something hopefully soon. Other cities are reporting that they're getting their money like within a couple of weeks of applying. So, which leads me to that other as may arise
Right.
here.
We'll visit on that in a moment. Yep. Let's move us to 12, city attorney. You have anything for us, city tonight?
Just that I'll be at the Missouri Municipal League Conference with a couple of city officials here next week in St. Louis, so we'll be going to that. There were a number of changes that were adopted August the 28th and law changes that came down from last year, so Missouri Municipal League has provided a highlight. I'm still working through those, and some of those will impact the city of Centralia just moving forward, and so they're supposed to be sending out a nice little summary and guideline of that, and I mean, I hate to reinvent the wheel, so as soon as that gets circulated to me, I'll make sure that the board has it too, so that you can see what those law changes were and maybe how they're gonna impact the city moving forward, so that would be my report.
Thank you. Moves us to 13, our city clerk. Nothing, okay. Now that moves us to as may arise, which we will be adding Jeff Park's presentation in with the fill-in that we have here today. Right after, we want to talk as may arise first about the funding discussion.
Yeah, I would just like to, we had some people express some interest in being on this committee to put together ideas about what we can do with our ARPA funds. And that way we can come with a list of things to the board, and then the board can make the final decision. So I would like for a few members of the board that are able and interested to be on this committee, that we can talk about it and discuss it. We'll have Earl Bennett with the Park Department, Amy Hopkins with the Library Board. We initially talked about the school district being involved too. We'll have to revisit that, look at that too, because I think they got their own, they may have gotten their own funding. So just, I can send out an email about dates.
How much money are we looking at?
About $768,000.
Depending on when, I'd love to be part of it.
I can be on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So-
Depending on when I go.
Okay, I'll send out a few dates. Evenings would probably be better then?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll send an email with some few dates.
Thank you. That moves us to our
Jenny on.
Jenny, I know that Ms. Hall. we will-
Yes, sorry I'm late, I did come straight from the Bicentennial concession stand up.
I thought I smelled popcorn, that's good. I thought I smelled popcorn there. Good.
I was gonna bring a spray, but I forgot, that's okay. But yes, sorry Jeff couldn't make it, so I'm filling in his place tonight. I'm Jenny Hoff. I work in the finance department for Myrna, so Jeff is your loss control rep, so you'll see him most of the time. But anyway, this is actually my first presentation of a grant award, so we'll see how this goes. But anyway, Jeff wanted to thank you, Heather, and I thank the chief for applying for the funding for our grant award program. So we're proud to present a list of items that the city of Centralia was granted. So let me read them off real quick. Surveillance at the police department, a voltage detector, a crimper, an AED, a flammable storage cabinet, and all of those total $9,464.25. So you'll be awarded 75% of the cost of the item up to a set dollar limit for each of those, which totals the $9,464.25. So Myrna is a self-insurance pool. We're created by municipalities with the goal of good coverage and the prevention of losses. And so these items that you've applied for will actually, help in that endeavor for our municipalities to lower their losses. So we'd be happy to present this plaque to you guys and the mayor. Maybe we can get a picture later or now. I don't know how that works.
Hang on, we'll do that in a little bit. We'll do this after the meeting. We'll move on.
Sounds good.
Stay
Anyway,
close. I'll get you back to the
thank
popcorn machine quickly.
Yeah.
She probably don't care.
That shit's probably over.
It is over now. I
You're
finished it.
probably done. So anyway, thank you. We appreciate that, really do. That moves me to, I would be open to adjournment.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
A second.
We have a first, second, we adjourn, all in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.